are going to focus on how to find the least common multiple of two or more numbers. The least common multiple, or LCM, is defined as the smallest whole number that is a multiple of each of two or more numbers. For example, if we list out the first few multiples of 6 and the first few multiples of 8, then we see the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is 24. To calculate the least common multiple, we will use prime factorization. A prime factorization shows how to write a number as the product of prime factors. In other words, we are breaking the number down as far as we can until we get prime numbers. So, for example, let's look at the prime factorization of 24. 24 is equal to 2 times 12. And 12 breaks down to 2 times 6, and 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. That means 24 can be broken down into 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. These factors are prime and can't be broken down further, so this is the prime factorization of 24. Prime factorization is useful because it helps us see whether one number is a multiple of another. Let's compare the numbers 6 and 12. We already know that 12 is a multiple of 6. How can we see this using prime factorization? We can write the prime factorization for each number here. 6 equals 2 times 3, and 12 equals 2 times 2 times 3. We see that both of the prime factors of 6, a 2 and a 3, are also prime factors of 12. In other words, 12 contains all of the factors of 6, along with an extra factor of 2. That means 12 will be a multiple of 6. Let's look at an example of how to use this to calculate the least common multiple of two numbers. What is the least common multiple of 12 and 30? To begin, we can write the prime factorization for each number. 12 equals 2 times 2 times 3, and 30 equals 2 times 3 times 5. Now, we are going to create a new number that will be the least common multiple of both 12 and 30. We'll create it by listing its prime factors. To choose the prime factors, we'll look at the factors of 12 first, and then 30 next. So, starting with 12, we see the factors 2, another 2, and a 3. We'll need all of these factors in our least common multiple, so let's start by listing 2 times 2 times 3. Now, let's look at the factors of 30 next. If the factors of 30 are already in our list, then we don't need to repeat them. But if there are any factors that aren't in our list, we'll add them. First is a 2, which we already have. Next is a 3, and we already have a 3. Last is a 5, which we don't have yet, so we'll include a 5. Now, our least common multiple has all of the factors of both 12 and 30, so it will be a multiple of both. We didn't include any extra factors that we didn't need, so this is going to be the least common multiple. All we have to do now is multiply 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. This is equal to 60, so the least common multiple of 12 and 30 is 60. Let's look at another example now. What is the least common multiple of 18 and 17? We will approach this the same way as the last problem and first write the prime factorization for each number. 18 equals 2 times 3 times 3. 17 is a prime number, so the prime factorization of 17 is just 17. Now we will create the least common multiple by writing its prime factors. If we start with 18, we see we need 2 times 3 times 3. Now, looking at 17, we don't have 17 in the list yet, so we'll need to include 17 as well. Next, we will multiply 2 times 3 times 3 times 17 equals 306. So, the least common multiple of 18 and 17 is 306. Let's explore one last example now. What is the least common multiple of 15, 10, and 20? Here, we are finding the least common multiple of three numbers, but the process is the same. First, we can write the prime factorization for each number. 15 equals 3 times 5, 10 equals 2 times 5, and 20 equals 2 times 2 times 5. Now, we will create the least common multiple by making sure to include all of the factors in 15, 10, and 20 without using any extra factors. To do so, let's look at the factors of all three numbers at once instead of one number at a time. Let's start with the 2's and see how many 2's we need. There are no factors of 2 in 15. There is one factor of 2 in 10. And there are two factors of 2 in 20. That means we'll need two factors of 2 in our least common multiple. Next, let's look at the 3's. There is only one factor of 3 in 15, so we only need one factor of 3. Now, we'll do the 5's. Each of our numbers has exactly one factor of 5, so we just need one 5 in our least common multiple. Now, we are done selecting factors, so we can multiply. 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 equals 60. Therefore, the least common multiple of 15, 10, and 20 is 60. Let's recap. We can use prime factorization to find the least common multiple of 2, 3, 4, or even more numbers. To do so, you first need to write the prime factorization for each number. Then, write each prime factor the most number of times it appears in any of the prime factorizations. Last, multiply the numbers from step 2. This will give you the least common multiple of the numbers used. I hope this helps you when you're calculating the least common multiple. Good luck!